Which of these chunky boys from On is the best one for you? Let's break it down. Today we're comparing the Cloudmonster 2 with the Cloudsurfer Max. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and you're watching Rad Dad Bod TV where we review running shoes. Today, like I said, we're comparing the Monster 2 with the Surfer Max, and if it's your first time watching one of my comparisons, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to jump around to the various parts of this video, but if you do so, I would sure appreciate it. Come back, watch the full thing when you get a sec, so I put a lot of time and effort in these videos. And if you've been a viewer for a while but haven't hit the subscribe button, please consider doing so today and turning on those notifications so you get notified every time I drop a new video, which is typically Monday through Friday. Now, before we get into this video, a quick plug. I am actively raising money for the Tokyo Marathon through the charity, the Sports Legacy Foundation 2. If you'd like to help me raise that money, please consider using the GoFundMe link in the description below. And if you want something out of it, you know, you're looking for something back, I completely understand. If you need running fuel or if you need running tights, running gear, use any of the affiliate links in the description below. One will take you to Fuel Goods where you can get race gels, where you can get electrolytes, post-run drinks, different things along those lines. And if you use that link, it will give me a kickback and all that money's going towards charity, as well as the Walico link below where you can get some distance half tights, which are my favorite half tights that I use in pretty much every race that I race nowadays, or any of their other gear. Use RadDad20 at checkout for 20% off, and it still goes towards charity when that kickback hits my bank account. So appreciate any help there. Now, some quick disclaimers and disclosures on the shoes are that I was provided the Surfer Max for free for the purpose of review, not paid, not given talk shacks, talking points, anything along those lines. All thoughts are entirely my own, and the Monster 2 I actually bought with my own money at one of my local running stores. Now, from an intended use standpoint, I would say that they're similar but slightly different, and this does come through to me in the performance of the shoe. So Cloudsurfer Max is going to be kind of that max cushion cruiser. It's supposed to be mostly for easy days. It's supposed to be kind of the like traditional max cushion fit, where the Cloudmonster is really more of a premium daily trainer. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's not necessarily for easy days. It might be a little bit higher stack than a standard daily trainer. It's still technically a standard daily trainer, but it's meant to be a little bit more versatile, be able to handle a little bit more pacing. As such, that's how we're going to be discussing the shoes today. Now, from a price standpoint, they both come in at $180, and so really, if you're looking from a pure price standpoint, it's going to come down to the experience that you want. From a specs perspective, the Cloudsurfer Max comes in at 10.3 ounces, which is 292 grams, and then the Monster 2 comes in at 10.5 ounces, which is 298 grams. So 0.2 ounces between the two. They're going to be fairly similar overall. Now, moving to the stack, the Monster has 39 in the heel, 33 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop, and the Surfer Max has 37 in the heel, 31 in the forefoot for a 6mm drop. So both 6mm drops, but despite the Cloudsurfer Max being more of the traditional max cushion, the Cloudmonster 2 actually has a little bit more stack. From a fit perspective, I would say that the Cloudsurfer Max fits true to size lengthwise. Meanwhile, the Cloudmonster 2 fits a little bit long. I actually half sized down in the shoe, but not for the length itself. From a width standpoint, the Cloudsurfer or the Cloudmonster 2 honestly might be one of, if not the widest shoe I've ever tried. Fits wide in the toe box, midfoot, and heel area, and for me, it was really, really hard to get good lockdown in, right? With the Cloudsurfer Max, I feel like true to size lengthwise, and it is wide foot friendly, so we'll talk about kind of the lockdown here in a sec in terms of how the upper performs, but I think if you have standard feet, you'll be fine. If you have narrow feet, I don't know that either of these would be a good experience for you. From an upper perspective, the Cloudmonster 2 comes in with an engineered mesh. It's very, very thin overall in kind of that midfoot and toe box area. And then you do have some nice cushioning there though in the heel cup and just heel and ankle collar area, right? The upper itself is pretty breathable. It's a pretty thin material overall. And then the tongue is gusseted, but it's one of those that kind of has a cutout. And so it does shift a little bit still, but I think the biggest thing with this shoe is it's so baggy that even half sizing down, I just had to really, really, really cinch down those laces to get any form of fit. And that left me sliding around in the shoe quite a bit from a lockdown perspective. So, when running fast, it just wouldn't work for me. Like, I shifted way too much in the shoe, and you may argue that the shoe is not meant to really go fast, and that's fine. But as a premium daily trainer, I expect a little bit more like a pace versatility in a shoe like that, in which case I expect not to have to shift around so much, and it's just super, super baggy. Breathable, comfortable, but baggy. With the Cloudsurfer Max, you have the engineered mesh upper. It is also thin here in the midfoot and toe box area, but I do feel like it's a little bit thicker, a little bit warmer, but still not warm. Fairly breathable overall. The tongue is kind of a knit style tongue, and it is fully gusseted. And then in the heel, you have kind of this tab, like booty looking structure, but actually if you look in the shoe, there is more of a traditional heel collar and ankle area with probably equal padding to the Cloudmonster. The shoe itself, while it is not quite as wide as the Monster 2, I don't feel like it's baggy, so I feel like I can still get some lockdown. I did notice that when doing strides or trying to speed up at all, I did have heel slippage in the shoe though, and so, you know, I didn't try with a runner's knot. That might have fixed it. But to be honest, that's not the intended use of the shoe. The shoe is really going to be more of a recovery option, so I'm not too concerned with that, because when running easy, when doing recovery miles, the shoe felt very comfortable, very, you know, locked in that sense. Moving to the midsoles, the Cloudsurfer Max has a Helion foam. It's an EVA and OBC blend, and you know, to be honest, it was very, very firm out of the box. You also have the Cloudtech Phase, which are kind of these slanted clouds, and you know, On uses some computerized formulas to essentially know what the ideal kind of angle that these clouds should be placed at. You know, I thought that the geometry of the midsole was really, really nice. I felt that the shoe felt very, very smooth. And yes, it is on the firmer side. It does soften up a little bit after about 15 to 20 miles. But I understand that it's going to be a lot firmer than most people would prefer, right? For me, I think when doing just kind of easy days, standard running miles, I felt that the shoe was supportive enough still, and it still had enough give that it didn't feel like it was really, really harsh underfoot. But for the most part, I will say it is a firmer overall experience. I just like how it rolls through. I think that the shoe itself is very, very stable as well. There is a cutout there kind of in the middle of the outsole area, which helps it kind of stay stabilized. But because the foam is firmer, it's not going to collapse on you. Now, the Cloudmonster 2 uses a dual density Helion, so it's going to be a little bit softer there in the forefoot area, and then a little bit firmer there in the heel area overall. It also uses the standard Cloudtech, which are more of these hexagonal clouds or cutouts within the midsole. And then actually within the shoe, sitting kind of right underneath your foot, is a plastic speed board. It might be P-backs, but it's a plastic plate. So it's going to be a little bit more rigid, right? It also means you're going to get a little bit more snap, a little bit more pop off the ground. Overall, I found that the shoe was very, very firm underfoot, and it was pretty rigid underfoot. And so I do think that it pops off the ground a little bit better. I do think it's a little faster than the Cloudsurfer Max, but I do also think that it kind of sits a little bit in a no man's land, because with a shoe like this, I would want a little bit more responsiveness, a little bit more speed, and the rigidity and firmness of the shoe just worked against me, right? But if you want something that is a little bit more bouncy, a little bit more versatile, I do think that the Cloudmonster 2 foam is going to be a little bit more like that. The nice thing too is that it is going to be very, very stable. You have a wide base, you have a firmer overall foam, right? And the way that and then there is kind of a little channel or cutout there in the outsole as well, which is going to aid you a little bit in the stability. Now, from an outsole perspective, the Cloudsurfer Max actually has the better overall coverage, and you know, actually, I think it has the better overall grip. I don't think that the coverage or grip on the coverage or grip on the Monster 2 is bad necessarily, but you can see there is a lot more exposed foam, and then actually rocks can kind of get stuck in some of those cutouts sometimes, not to mention the clouds. The Cloudtech Phase, as well as just the outsole there, is a little bit more gravel friendly or even asphalt friendly, and I do think it actually actively grips the road a little bit better. Now, as far as my pick between the two, for me, I really do lead in Cloudsurfer Max. I do think that the Cloudmonster is going to be more versatile. It's going to give you a little bit more options. So if you're only getting one shoe, I could see a very clear case for why you would go Cloudmonster. Just for me, with my personal preferences, the shoe is a little too rigid, a little too firm, with not quite enough responsiveness or flow in the shoe for me to justify kind of getting it over the Surfer Max, where I think that the Surfer Max accomplishes what it sets out to do. Now, both of these, to be clear, I do believe could use or could benefit from a little bit softer foams, right? That Helion foam, I can't remember if it was still the EVA OBC blend in the Monster 2 as well, but assuming it is the same foam, I would just like to see maybe an updated foam, right? Maybe a TPU or something. And I don't know if it's because of the clouds, because they're sticking with the cloud formula, the cutouts, that they're not really able to deviate into a softer foam because it would collapse too much. But I do think that it's worth on maybe revisiting and seeing like, hey, is there a way we could keep the clouds or minimize the clouds? Is with their race shoes, you often see them kind of minimize the clouds, right? And you still get like the cutout for the aesthetic. But if it's not quite working for the shoes, obviously it's time to move away from it. And I do think that a lot of people are saying that On is just overly firm right now. I enjoyed the Cloudsurfer Max though. The Cloudmonster 2 fought me quite a bit. So just some final thoughts. You know, from a premium daily trainer standpoint, from a max cushion standpoint, both of these shoes have some pretty big fans. I was not really a fan of the Cloudmonster 2, but it's one of my most watched shorts on YouTube. People keep commenting about how much they love the shoe. At the same time, I liked the Cloudsurfer Max, and I have a short about the Cloudsurfer Max, and people keep telling me that I'm wrong and that they hate the shoe. So, when it comes to running shoes, whether it's On, which seems to be a polarizing brand, or other, right, just understand that at the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference. It comes down to what the shoe does for you, what you're going to be using it for, what your experience is on underfoot. I just try and compare and contrast to give people a general idea of what shoes are like in comparison to another. So if you watch this far, I sure appreciate you. Let me know in the comments what questions you have or what other comparisons you would like to see. Again, quick plug, if you'd like to help me raise money for the Tokyo Marathon, please consider using the link below in the description or any of the affiliate links, as it's all going towards charity until we raise that money. Lastly, we'll finish out with a question, which is, what is your favorite On shoe? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.